Good morning, and we are back. And of course, at the lovely Homes and Villas booth here at VRMA. And I'm joined with Veronica, who leads the business development with the actual team at Homes and Villas. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
How are you feeling?
Yeah,
Second day.
excited. Yeah, I think yesterday was good and looking forward to today.
What's the energy? What's the vibes? What's everyone telling you? What are you hearing over here at the booth?
I'm hearing a lot of opportunity. That's how
Okay.
I feel. Like a lot of new companies that we have never come across,
Yeah,
a lot of kind of, great property managers, exciting things happening with our connectivity partner. So,
for
yeah,
sure.
overall seems good.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about working with homes and villas and the actual process because you're the one that gets to deal with all the onboardings.
Yeah.
And I'm not just all the onboardings, but lots of the aftermath of joining as a property manager that gets on homes and villas. So, what are some of the qualifications and standards that operators need to know in order to work with you guys?
Yeah. I mean, for us, standards obviously
Yeah.
was one of the reasons we wanted to enter the space, right? Like for us, we wanted to kind of elevate that element about the short-term rental and providing a guest some sort of, stress-free stay and experience that sometimes you don't always get in a vacation rental or short-term rental stay. And so for us, the standards are really about, three to four main things. The first one is accuracy, right? Whatever you see on a listing, you want to make sure that that's what you get when you go
You
in.
don't show up and you're like, this doesn't look
Yeah,
anything
what
like
is
it. Yeah.
this? Yeah,
Yeah.
what's happening here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the main thing. And you have to think about it like you're shopping for something, you want to get what you shop for, right? The second one I would say really is around the cleanliness. That is such a basic thing that I was in a property management company before. I know it's hard, but it is still like the basics, right? And so getting that right is extremely important for us. So having good like cleanliness protocols, inspections that you have in place, people that are trained and that you have ongoing training is important. The second one really is about kind of like the condition of the home and the maintenance. And by that really means is do you also have protocols in place to make sure that every so often, you're taking a look at your properties, you're making sure that you're doing some improvements, right? That you feed that back to the owner. I think one of the good things about working with us is because we're very specific and we provide a lot of feedback constantly to our partners about, we got this feedback from this guest that this property seemed a little bit run down. What do you think? That actually has served very well as a tool for property managers to go back to their owners and be
Yes.
like, "Hey, look, this is the feedback we got from a Marriott guest. In order for you to make sure you're still on the platform, maybe you should invest in doing a couple of things." And that we've seen has actually been really, really positive. And that's benefit not just for our guests, but for that property in general, right? And
Yeah.
your ability to generate more revenue from it. And the last one I would say it's around customer experience. We always say like guests are not always right, but they always should be taken care of, right? And so you always want to make sure that you have the opportunity to listen to the guest and be able to provide some sort of support, right? And so for us, making sure that you have a good customer service team that cares about the guest is, I would say, the other standard that's important for us.
How many of the property managers that you guys talk to are actually in the destination themselves that they manage? Do you have a lot of like spread out or what's the kind of
I would say we have a mix.
okay.
Yeah, I would say we definitely have a mix. We really try to make sure that we're working with property managers who really know their
Yeah.
properties and who really kind of value that effort. Yeah, they're in them. They know the market. They know really what are the complexities of the logistics, right? It's very complicated when you're in a distributed location and, getting your operations team to operate within multiple properties, in urban cities is very difficult. We see that in Europe, for example, is extremely complicated. And so, but I would say it's definitely a mix, but we want to make sure that there's as much control from the property manager as possible.
Yeah. And it's hard because like what you were saying with the owner stuff is so resonating with me because it's hard when you have a great property that can do really well. And then like the maintenance that doesn't get invested in from the owner's side, due to the fact like, oh, we'll get there like eventually next year.
Yeah,
That type of conversation happens way too often. And then
definitely.
it shows in the reviews and the money that you're able to make because again, those little details do matter. And especially from like if you have a hotel guest coming from a hotel expectation, especially with Marriott and the Bonvoy program that like, 200 million people are using, it's kind of a new standard that's kind of built in now. And I think, to carry that through, it's really important.
Yeah, definitely. And we know some of our guests carry that hotel expectation, and that's also on us to make sure that we're educating about the difference of the product and the difference about the experience that they should have. But I do think, and we've gotten this feedback from a lot of our
Yeah.
partners. We met with a couple of them while we've been here, and the feedback has been that has actually made them consider like, oh, okay, we know not all of our guests are going to be like this, at this level of expectation, but overall it helps us elevate kind of like the way we think about our standards. And again, you generate more revenue,
Yeah.
period, from your booking. So
Well,
it's
it's
good.
great because a lot of people, I think, in the beginning of Marriott's entry into short-term rentals was a little hesitancy because it's like, oh, what are the big hotels doing, right?
Yeah.
And no, it's like it actually really helped you. You guys brought in a lot of standardization and expertise, and a little bit of grown up to the party, right?
Yeah.
Like it's refreshing because I think not only is family travel, group travel, and all these other travels becoming more popular, but the expectations again, like, are very set high, and a lot of people have just gotten into this industry or gotten into short-term rentals through experiencing like COVID, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you got to get, what was it? Lockdown? Like not lockdown,
Locked.
but like what was the flatten the curve? Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so the flatten
Yes.
the curve for the
Yep.
2 weeks that was.
Yep. Yep.
And they got to doing vacation
Yeah.
homes, and I think a lot of people like that experience, but like the hotel experience that's expected and consistent, and you know,
Yeah, and that's the fun part I think about this industry, that like, you know, you very quickly can kind of, get dip your toes into this
yeah,
industry and then suddenly you have like a really good
yeah,
business.
yeah.
But that's not necessarily means that you have gotten like all the thinking behind how do you make sure you're running a business that has these standards. And, I think for us, we never wanted to enter the space to like replicate what was already there, because there
Exactly.
was I was wouldn't be really interesting,
And
right?
and it wouldn't work, to be
Exactly,
honest, yeah.
exactly. There's enough
Yeah.
happening,
Yeah.
for us to be able to do the same thing. So I think for us, it definitely seems sometimes a bit daunting, but for us, it's so important that we treat our partners as collaborators, right? We're not here. You're really experts at some things, and we're really experts at another.
Yeah,
Let's make sure that we kind of like bring those two elements together to kind of like again elevate that element, those elements about the industry.
I love that,
Yeah.
and for the other like, you mentioned feedback that, property managers are giving to you guys. What's another piece of feedback that you guys get when they're working with homes and villas that maybe most people wouldn't fully expect? Is there anything that stands out to you?
Yeah, I mean, we get a lot of feedback about our team.
Yeah,
One thing that I always say is like we're a hospitality first
okay.
company and technology is support. We're not a technology first company. And that means that for us, our people are extremely important. And so we get a lot of feedback about how easy and approachable it is to be able to work with us. So, and we really pride to that. We just did an entire rework of our onboarding
Oh, nice.
experience and made it a lot more streamlined for our property managers that are in the process of working with us to kind of get through that process. And we were thinking of how do we make sure we have something that is more automated, more self-service without losing that element about kind of like the team touch or the human touch. And so that's a lot of the feedback that we get, which is great.
That's great.
But yeah, I mean, what I was talking about the owners, and kind of the expectations, and a lot of like the good bookings that we're able to
Yeah.
to drive, right? And that's great feedback to have as well.
Let's talk about that for a quick second, because there's nothing better than not only having a great experience, but making money, right?
Yeah.
Like we want to make money, and what has been the feedback from the actual bookings and the guests that stay at these homes? Because I know can be. I think for myself, I'd be a little nervous for my first Marriott Bonvoy member to
Okay,
stay with me.
why?
No, just you want to make sure that you're always executing, even though you do all your cross your T's, dot your I's. You never know. You never
Yeah.
know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, from bookings, what we see is a little bit of a different behavior from our guests, and that's really driven by the fact that they have a currency that they can use, which is points. So what that means is that it drives guests to sometimes stay longer, right? And sometimes go for a higher tier kind of property that they wouldn't necessarily go if they didn't have the points, because for them it's just a currency that they can use to kind of like get that. If you think about it, like an upgrade, right? Or oh, let me stay just like 2 more nights because I can actually do that. So it's incremental bookings that we're able to drive for our partners, that it's a really good quality bookings. And I would say is that hesitation about, am I going to be ready for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Marriott guest?
Am I gonna be ready?
But what I also say is most of the time, yes,
Yeah.
but also it's a guest that you actually don't have to worry about, in the sense that, it's a stress-free guest that you're not going to have worry about parties. You're not going to have to worry about damage from the home. These are people who travel often, and it's usually families. It's, a group of friends that, they also appreciate their loyalty and their membership, and that they know that they don't want to do anything also to kind of jeopardize that. So in that sense, I think totally here on the hesitation, but I think there's a really, a lot of feedback we hear is like these are valuable bookings, right? Which is what we wanted.
For sure. what's the guests get in the terms of messaging? Do they know this isn't actually a Marriott home, that it's a partner through Homes and Villas? And like, what's that messaging side look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's been 5 years since we
Yeah.
started of learning and kind of like
Yeah.
iterating, right? But the way it works right now is the moment that a guest makes a booking, we immediately introduce them to the property management
Awesome.
company that they're actually going to be servicing their stay. And
Great.
for us, here's where that element of like, you all guys are the experts.
Yeah.
You need to know what information you need to get from the guests before they check in. You know what information it's important for them to have to make sure that they have a good stay. And so we really want to make sure that we do that handover.
Yeah.
We're always there to support, but we immediately introduce the property management company and provide them all the information that they will need for whatever questions they have. And when they reach out to us, we always then reroute them to our partners, because we think that that's
Yeah.
that's the seamless way
So
to
there's
go.
transparency. It's not like the guest is like showing up and like, this isn't a Marriott, this is a whatever,
Yeah,
you
and they're
know?
like, Wait, what is this? Where's my front desk?" Or,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Seriously.
or
They're like expecting a building and they just
yeah,
walk to
yeah,
a home.
yeah. He's like,
Yeah.
"Where's my Westin pillow?" And you're like,
Yeah.
No, that's not what it is." But
Not happening.
yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Any standards or expectations that operators need to be thinking about when it comes to wanting to work with a channel like Marriott? Um I don't think like, standardization outside of like white linen sheets and pillows, like, yes, that's all going to be there. But anything that property managers need to think about when it comes to the access control or the kitchen, like, is there certain pieces that you guys really tell like are best practices for the work, like the way of working with Marriott Homes and Villas?
Yeah, one that's really important for us, and sometimes it comes a little bit of a surprise, it's the fire life and safety.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
really, really, really important for us,
Yes.
right? And so we obviously I would say we go a little bit above what the whatever state regulation is. And so that for us is extremely important.
Cool.
And again, for us, that's an added benefit, not for a Marriott guest, but for any guest and any situation and booking you might have, it's an extra layer of protection that you want to have, right? I'd say that one. And I think overall how we go about our due diligence process or like vetting our partners to make sure that we're the right fit. And I always say, like, it's not just, for us to vet our partners, but it is also for them to determine whether we're a channel that they actually want to have as part of their distribution strategy, right? And so, I think that there is the expectation is like, you're not going to go live with us in 24 hours. We have let them, a couple of steps to go through to make sure that, that it's going to work the right way. But that's why we have a whole team. My team is completely dedicated to like help our partners through that process. But yeah, I would say that those on top of the entire guest experience, that those are other things that, partners should be kind of aware of in terms
So
of
there's
working with
no
us.
easy listing button. Like that was easy.
That it is easy after you've gone through the process.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
No, I love it. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me here
Yeah.
at VRMA. This has been so fun. Sorry I didn't bring you any pastries today.
Yeah, the best chocolate croissants I've had in a while.
Hey, shout out to the pastries. Brandy brought them from, I don't know where you got them from, but
Okay, we need to give those guys a shout out.
big
Well
shout out
done.
to Proof Prep. But no, thank you so much for sitting down with me
Yeah,
today and sharing your expertise. I've had such a great time with the whole team here. You guys have a really good group, and so thank
nice.
you for all you guys are doing.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
awesome. Thank you so much for spending time with us. We
Of
love it.
course.